Hi guys, and welcome to Grinds360. I'm Tracy Gannon. I'm one of the teachers here at Grinds360. I teach both maths and geography, and I'm here today to basically take you around the platform and really answer any questions that you have. So guys, well done first of all for getting started, for being here today, because I do know on a Saturday you're probably thinking to yourself, 1 week down in school, you're probably kind of wrecked after the week, but fair play for coming on here today, I should say, and obviously just getting used to the platform and kind of getting familiar with it, because it can take some time. Now, I'm going to run through the platform first. I'm going to show you a number of different features. If there's anything I do not cover and you want to ask me, please feel free to pop it in the chat. I have the chat opened here beside me, and yeah, we'll get started. So first things first, I suppose the first thing to say here is that I have the platform opened here beside me. I'm going to be changing the view now in a couple of seconds. But the first thing I do want to tell you about is the newsfeed. Now, the newsfeed is extremely important at Grinds360 because that's where we make all our announcements. You'll actually see here it looks slightly different. You'll see me on the screen. I won't show you that. But we make all our announcements for maybe if there's a change with Grinds, if there's a masterclass coming up, if there's an in-person workshop, if a teacher kind of thinks of a tip that they really want to get to you. I know myself, when there's projects coming up for geography, I have tips and tricks that I kind of want to pop out to students, revision plans. You're going to see them there. So do always keep an eye on the newsfeed, and the newsfeed should be streamed according to your subjects once you choose your subjects. So I'm going to bring you over to the platform, an overall view of the platform here. Now, when you have the platform opened, obviously, as you'll see, you have the newsfeed along the left-hand side. And again, it might look a little bit quieter now because obviously we're just coming back from the summer months, but every day you're going to see new updates on the newsfeed, and it is a really, really important place, I suppose, just to keep an eye on for yourself. What most students really want to know is they want to know about our on-demand catalogue as well as our weekly grinds. Now, our weekly grinds will be streaming on the platform just like I showed you here a couple of moments ago. So you'll notice there, it hasn't started on this particular platform, but here on the platform, and I'm going to show you to one side of me right here, here on the platform, and apologies if I'm doing a little bit of switching between the two. Here on the platform, you'll actually see what I was just going through. Your grinds, your weekly grinds, are going to appear on your home screen of your platform, just like they are here. And what you'll see just below that is you'll see your chat. So for your chat, for example here, I'm just going to pop my name in, Tracy, into the audience. And if I have any questions that I want to ask the teacher, whether it's Paul McCormick, our English teacher, Michael Casey, our Irish teacher, Rob Brown and Kieran Mills, our maths teachers, I can just pop the little questions in there. And guys, I really would encourage you during these live classes, during your weekly grinds, your master classes, to ask as many questions as you want, okay? Because we're here, we love the questions, we love the interaction, we love to know you're there, and we love to actually get familiar with students before we maybe meet you at the in-person workshops later on in the year. So your weekly grinds, they will appear on your home screen just like here, okay? So you'll see it just beside me, and your chat will be just below that. Now, with the weekly grinds, one of the main questions we get is, can I watch the weekly grinds after the class? And yes, always, because we know you guys have busy schedules. Now, that brings me into our grinds calendar, which I'm going to again pop up on the screen for you. Our grinds calendar can be found under timetables on the top bar, that black bar along the top. You'll see here, I have probably a slightly different view than you. I have my 5th and 6th year weekly grinds to the left hand side, and then my junior cycle. I'm going to pop into my 5th and 6th year weekly grinds. You'll see here that you have your timetable for your weekly grinds. Now, here at Grinds360, we're extremely aware that you guys have very, very busy schedules. So every single one of these grinds will be recorded and they will be placed on the platform for you to watch. Generally speaking, these will be placed on the platform within 24 hours of the class, okay? So generally speaking, they're going to be on the platform within 24 hours. Now, if it is a Saturday, it might be the Monday morning, but our aim is always 24 hours. So if you miss a class or if something clashes for you, they're going to be placed on the platform. Now, where are they going to be placed on the platform? Well, this year we're going to do it slightly different. So if you're with us in 5th year and you're joining back with us in 6th year, which I think the majority of students actually have, which is a lovely thing for us, you're going to find them in with the on-demand content, which I'm going to show you now. So, coming back up to the very top of this screen, You now know where to find your timetable. Just going to pop back to home always here so you can see it. If you click on the word subjects, you're going to see all your subjects, both on demand and your back catalogue of weekly grinds here. So for instance, and just because I'm a little bit more familiar obviously with my own subjects, I'm going to come over as far as geography. So if I click into geography here, and again, yours will be obviously managed by yourself, so you'll be only seeing the subjects that you chose. So if you scroll, this obviously, I'm referring to last year's back catalogue. My back catalogue this year will be placed just under getting started with geography, so the second line here. But what you'll find is we've actually placed last year's back catalogue. If I scroll down, it is obviously last year, so we did put it at the bottom just to avoid any confusion. The back catalogue for this year will be placed on the top. You'll find our back catalogue, huge amount here, so I do apologise for all the scrolling. Our back catalogue for our weekly grinds are here. So for instance, if I pop into one of these lessons here, you'll be able to re-watch this particular class. You might also, if you're if you're joining, maybe, you missed a week, maybe you're sick for a week, you'll also find your little descriptions here on the right-hand side of the screen will tell you what the class was about. So you'll see again, if I just pop here, again, you'll see the class will be there. It'll be made available for you to watch whenever you want. That's really, really important though, that you're getting started in September. We're nearly in September, I think 2 days time, are we? Am I correct saying that? 2 days time. It's really, really important that you go step by step with us through the grinds, but obviously it isn't physically possible to be doing a grind in every single subject. So you might be dipping in and out. Maybe geography is your strong subject and you're saying, Tracy, well, I don't need to do every single grind with you, but I'm going to have my weak topics. Maybe my weak topics is something like rivers, or it might be something like isostasy. So when you're doing them grinds, I'm going to jump into them particular grinds. So you use it well. So as I said, just in relation to the weekly grinds, they're live streamed on the homepage of the platform. You'll see them there. You'll obviously have your tabs where you can ask your questions and your teachers can answer them in real time. Just like if you have any questions here, I can answer them in real time. But generally speaking, within 24 hours, they will be placed on the platform for you to watch back. Now, with the weekly grinds, obviously you have your books. Now, some students are obviously on the book boost, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So if you're on the book boost, you're going to be getting your book order document where you're going to order your books out next Tuesday, and they're going to be posted out the following week by our distributors, okay? I'll talk about that a little bit more towards the end. But obviously, you don't need the books because we have the books on the platform. So I want to show you that. So we're going to come back to my class for a second, and again, I'm going to just pop back to my on-demand section here. So it's straight back to the start. And again, as I said to you, where you see start your geography here, your weekly grinds back catalogue will be just below that, and geography masterclasses. So if you want to visit the notes, you'll see here, and this will be the same for every single subject, whether it's English, Irish, maths, you can click into your physical notes, read more, and you'll have your physical notes here. Now, it might take a second just to pop up for me because I do have a lot streaming at one time. Your physical notes are there and you can work through them physical notes. So these are our digital books. So here you'll see this is my geography textbook. So for instance, we're going to be starting on Monday with the rock cycle. I can pop over as far as the rock cycle here in the notes and I can work my way through that particular chapter. If there's something I want to search, so let's say for instance, maybe it's not a case that you're working in class with me, but you're saying to yourself, okay, in class I'm doing X, Y, Z. So in geography, you might be saying, I'm having a look at earthquakes, and you were saying, I want to find something about earthquakes in my notes. Well, you can search it here. So as you'll see, I can type in earthquake and I can click search, and you're going to see all these pages where you see earthquakes. So again, you can pop into a particular page if you want to view that particular page. Now, those are our digital books. Our digital books there will be improvements made to these digital books throughout the year, particularly towards the end of October, the start of November, where we're hoping to be able to annotate these books. So when I say the word annotate, that you'll be able to use your iPad and your pen, and you'll actually be able to draw on the notes, mark in the notes, whatever you like to do. Now, oftentimes there are additional, okay? So there are additional kind of notes your teacher, just like me, might have. We might say, God, I got asked this in class, I want to jump into that next week, so on and so forth. Well, we do have a downloadable notes section as well. In relation to the downloadable notes section, just going to come back over to my homepage. And on the top, just on the black bar here, third option over, you'll see downloadable notes. So if your teacher ever refers to downloadable notes, this is the section that they're referring to. So for instance, and again, obviously, every teacher is very, very different. This will be English with Paul McCormick. There are some additional notes Paul put up throughout the year that you can download. Now, that's my weekly grinds, kind of, I suppose, a quick explanation of my weekly grinds. And I will be getting to your questions in a couple of moments, so please don't worry about that. Next, I do want to tell you about our on-demand content. So weekly grinds, they're on your timetable. On-demand content is very, very different, because on-demand content is content that we've built out to be in shorter bite-sized chunks. So basically splitting topics up into bite-sized chunks for you. So let's have a look at our on-demand content. Now, what we found is that students, when they get closer towards their Leaving Cert exam, that's when they really love to dive into their on-demand content. So for instance, I'm going to take a particular class. I'm going to take chemistry with Nicola Walsh. Nicola's built out all her on-demand content. It may take a second just to pop up our little thumbnails here. All her on-demand content, basically splitting out the course into bite-sized chunks for us. You're going to find that these lessons are shorter, so sometimes they're 15 minutes, sometimes, they might be 12 minutes, sometimes they will be 30 or 40 minutes. Unfortunately, just some topics don't lean towards maybe a 12 or 15 minute video, but basically they'll be focusing into a particular topic. Now, where we found that these actually really suited students was coming up towards their exams. So coming up towards their Leaving Cert or not junior cycle really as much, Leaving Cert exam, where they actually wanted to zone in, or if they have a class test. They really, really loved jumping in and out. Now, not every on-demand video will be built out. We've been building them out since last September 2024. But again, there'll be more added to this year. So for example, there's going to be on-demand content added for computer science. There's going to be on-demand content added for phys chem, some on-demand content being added for religion. And I know myself in maths and geography, obviously, particularly if I mention geography, really, really big course, I'll be adding on-demand content for the two electives, both economic and environmental. And I'll be adding that throughout the year. So that there is my on-demand content. Now, I'm just going to take a look at the questions for a couple of moments. Most of them probably are answered here. So can we download the digital books? Unfortunately, due to copyright, each book is copyright of that particular teacher. It's not actually possible to download these digital books. I think it's Caitlin. But what we're doing is we're working on that you will be able to annotate these books on your iPad. So you'll have an individual book saved on your Grinds360 account, and you're going to be able to annotate that in the future. Okay. Now, one thing to point out in relation to books, if I jump onto books, just seeing as that's the last question that was actually asked there, in relation to books, the bookstore will also be opening probably towards the end of next week. So if there is a particular book that you're saying, okay, I have the digital book for maybe 7 or 6 of my subjects, but I'd really like my digital book or a physical book for maths, because obviously there's quite a lot of writing there, you're going to be able to come on the platform, and there will be an option if you want to purchase that particular book if you're not maybe you didn't choose the Books Boost package. So that is there for yourself. So Niall just asked me another question here. Can you watch live videos on the website or just the app? So you'll be able to watch them both on the app, so the app on your phone, and also say on your laptop or tablet through the website. So www.grinds360.ie, you'll see your login there, your sign in option there as well. So either, whether it be the app or through the website, you can do both, okay? So Connell, very good question, because we did get a lot of these questions last year. And do you have to sign up specifically for a weekly grind, or do you get them on the newsfeed? You're going to get them all on the newsfeed, Connell, which is good. You don't have to sign up. So you basically jump into whatever classes you want yourself. No need to sign up. So you'll literally see them on your homepage. And I'm going to pop over to my homepage now. So here's my homepage here. You're going to see, obviously, there's only one class. It's not really a class, our little platform tour / orientation here. But what will happen here is, where this class is actually playing now, you'll be able to flick through the classes. You'll see 3 little dots on the bottom of that class, or 4, depending on how many classes are live at that time, and you'll be able to actually flick through the classes. So Connell, no need to sign up to a particular class. No, we don't do any of that. You can jump in and out of as many classes as you want yourself, okay? And that's really, really important for you to know. So, and if you have a question, you just pop your name in. You may need to pop your name in if you switch from maybe Irish to geography or geography to biology. You'll probably have to put in your name again, just into obviously the chat, but that's it. No need to sign up. It's all there for you. So I'm going to keep going another little bit further, guys, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to some of these questions. Now, I do have an amazing team here, so some of them are answering their questions for you, but I'll pop down through them toward the end again. Now, another question that we get commonly asked, and I just want to go through before I do get asked, is in relation to masterclasses. So a lot of students have asked us, what is the difference between a masterclass and also a weekly grind? Now, masterclasses, for example, with the like of me. A masterclass will be a session I typically would put on the weekend, so time when I know you have that little bit more free time. And it'll be on a specific topic. For example, your field investigation. Last year I did 4 masterclasses, each which was approximately 2 to 2.5 hours, based on the field investigation. And there was one specifically for the sea, there was one specifically for rivers, there was one specifically on the kind of overview of the market scheme in the paper, one how you get graded. So that would be an example of a masterclass. They're zoning in on really, really important topics. For example, if it was in Irish, there will be masterclasses in Irish, in Spanish, in German, based on specific elements of the oral exam. So these masterclasses really are hosted for you, kind of zoning in a lot on projects and on orals you're going to find, but stuff that on the paper that we know is really, really important for your Leaving Cert exam, particularly coming for the 2026 Leaving Cert exam. We'll be zoning in on that for you. A lot of projects, there's a lot of projects, and the projects are worth a huge amount to you. So that's just in relation to masterclasses. I do have my list here, so I don't want to double check. I'm getting down through everything. Next, I do have in-person workshops, which I do want to tell you about, and this is quite important because we're going to have a lot more in-person workshops this year. Now, in relation to in-person workshops, I think the word is in-person. Grinds360 is an online learning platform, but because of demand last year, we did decide, and because us as teachers did want to meet our students, we did host in-person workshops, both in Dublin and obviously around the country. Now, in relation to ones that we do place on weekly, they will be predominantly in Dublin, okay? Whereas we're going to have larger events at the midterm breaks and throughout the years, maybe weekends outside Dublin, and that's just based on time and different elements. First in-person workshop, well, where will you find out about them? You'll find out about these in-person workshops on the newsfeed. So the newsfeed here. They'll always be announced here. However, you're going to find, and this time, the next one is a still organ workshop. In this black bar, second option, you'll see still organ workshops, and you'll see here you can book into that workshop. So it's a maths higher level workshop. You can click in. You'll see the details on the top. So for example, this is a maths higher level workshop. This may not be visible if you've chosen ordinary level maths. It'll only be the relevant workshops which will appear for you with Rob Brown in the Talbot, Thursday the 4th of September between 6 to 9. You'll see this little booking form here, which you'll fill it in and you will get a confirmation email. And after that, all you have to do is show up. We'll have your name there, but your teacher will be telling you to bring, if you have a physical textbook, you might want to bring that physical textbook with you. They'll tell you what to bring with you. You'll more than likely see it posted on the newsfeed. So that's the in-person workshops, and there will be in-person workshops throughout the year. I can't confirm any dates at the moment, unfortunately, but you'll see them appear, kind of pop up continuously. Now, after that, that is my in-person workshops. What is next on my list? Other small features or small little elements that I do want to talk about before I have a little look at the chat is I do want to tell you, obviously I've mentioned before, on the platform, you will later on in the year, what you're going to see is you're going to see an option to purchase books if you want to purchase an extra book. Or, for example, if you did the digital books, you want maybe to choose one. Most students would have chose the book boost. But if you chose the digital package, which again, absolutely perfect because you see everything there. If there's a specific book, you are like, I'd like a physical copy of that. That's no problem. That will be opening very, 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 very soon. Okay. So that's there. We'll also have very soon opening an Ask Your Teachers tab on the platform where you can ask your teachers questions. Now, these questions will typically be answered during the weekly grinds or maybe a live masterclass, but it's just to get for us as teachers to get an idea of what you're worrying about, what you're stressing about. Teachers will be also hosting Q&As throughout the year, and we do make little TikTok videos and stuff. So if there's something that's appearing continuously, you'll see us give the answer to everybody. Again, Ask Your Teacher will be opening very, very soon. The final thing to mention there, and it is one that I've said already, it is the Books Boost package. So you'll be getting your form next Tuesday and the books will be posted out by the distribution company the following week. If there's any questions in relation to the Books Boost, if you have any questions whatsoever, just contact us here. This is the number here. I popped it up on the board, 091 019 08 1360. That there is your Books Boost. If you want to ask any questions in relation to that, or if something, you have questions when they do arrive. If there's any other questions, you can also call the customer service team, obviously on 019125770. Again, if there's something you're saying, I don't know if my platform looks exactly like Tracy's here, I think I might be missing something, give us a call. There's never any problem. Our phone lines are open till 9 p.m. tonight, so there's plenty of time to give us a call. Now, that's the majority of the platform, and hoping I didn't forget anything. We do have an amazing team of teachers here who are constantly here working to help you. And again, just trying to get as much content there for you as physically possible. I'm going to have a little look at the chat and answer some of the questions that are coming in. Now, a lot of these questions may already been answered, but as I said before, I'm just going to read through them so that you can see. So I'm going to have a good few questions here. So Farah, I hope I'm pronouncing names right because I'm very bad with pronunciation. Just asked there, will I get an email for each class or do I need to check the newsfeed each time? So we don't send out emails because otherwise you're going to find throughout the year we do put on in September. We try to keep the start of September a little bit quieter when you're getting started, but throughout the weeks, I'm going to say, and months, it does get quite, I'm not going to say chaotic. Our teachers are very good. They want to get as much information to you as physically possible. Like I know we were on last year, the nights before the Leaving Cert exam. So we don't try to bombard you with emails because I can tell you, I can put my hand on my heart and say, you'd have too many. So we do try to keep everything on the newsfeed. Now, what we'll be putting out each month though, which will help, and again, these can change ever so slightly, so you might notice them being updated or it's tiny little changes on them. We're going to be posting out a masterclass timetable. So obviously the weekly grinds timetable is there. You'll know that yourself, but we'll be posting out a masterclass timetable at the start of every single month. So generally the first week of every month, you'll see that there. We'll pin it for a couple of days on the newsfeed, but you'll see it constantly being announced. And I know if I have a masterclass myself, I'll tell you in Grinds, so I'll be kind of saying it to you repeatedly. So Mark there just asked a question, if I bought books in 5th year, will I need to buy them again for 6th year? Mark, that will depend. And again, all the digital books, so you'll see all the digital books there. Obviously physical copies are a little bit different. Most of the books will be the exact same for 5th and 6th. However, a couple of books, there may be an additional book. For example, the higher level maths books do change from 5th to 6th. There will be a slightly more updated Irish book. There'll be a slightly more updated English book. But I would say, Mark, don't jump the gun and purchase any of the books without asking the teacher first. So when the weekly grinds start tomorrow, and they're going to be starting tomorrow with Paul McCormick's English, just pop into the class and ask Paul himself. So each teacher will be able to tell you what's going on in their particular subject. For me, for geography, I know if you bought the physical geography book last year, the regional geography book last year, there might be a slight little update, but if there's anything majorly different, I'll make sure I put it in the downloadable notes for you, Mark. There's a couple of questions here about the HPAT, but I think most of them have already answered the questions. So Taiva, I think you just said some of the digital books appear, they were there for you, but now they've been maybe removed. That's probably because this weekend we were updating quite a lot of the books. So they're being updated. I know myself for maths, I was just making some changes. So if you were doing Leaving Cert Ordinary Level Maths, you might notice that came down for a couple of moments and then it popped back up. It's just, there might be some edits to these books. So if it disappeared, you can let your teacher know, but more than likely it will be back up and running generally within a day for you. But obviously we have to make updates to the books. I think it is. Ayman, I think. You just asked me when the live classes will start. They start tomorrow. There's a music masterclass tomorrow, and also you have English tomorrow, your English Grinds Leaving Cert tomorrow, and junior cycle. Mayhew said, do you have to confirm the live class every time before you attend? If you're talking about our live classes on the platform, our weekly grinds, our masterclasses, no need to confirm. They'll all be there for you. You'll see them constantly appearing for you. So no need to confirm or book anything there. Obviously, if it's an in-person workshop, then you do need to book that. So only if it's in person, that's the only one you need to book there. So Taiva also asked a very good question. What if I can't go to an in-person workshop? Will I miss the lesson? No. They are being streamed on the platform. So just like you might have noticed, Rob a couple of weeks ago had a class streamed from Still Oregon. So they're streamed for you on the platform and then they're placed up there for you to rewatch. You also asked there, can we ask the teachers questions outside the weekly grinds if I have a question? In the Ask Your Teacher question tab, yeah, you can pop questions in there, but generally because obviously we have a large volume of students, we try to answer the questions for everybody. So you might notice the next week in class, so if you asked, for example, if you asked Jennifer Groves, our biology teacher, a question in the Ask a Teacher question, she might answer that the next week at the start or the end of the weekly grind. So we tend to try to answer, because we do get the same questions in quite a lot, we tend to try to answer them for everybody. I would always suggest if you can ask the teacher a question in the live class, it is much better than Ask Your Teacher tab. Only if it's really, really important, very, very specific question, it's usually better, because if you have that question, everybody tends to have that question. But yes, you can ask questions. So I think a lot of the questions that you were asking there, Tava, has been answered. So if you're in 5th year, do you still attend 6th year grinds, or are all the same? So Thomas, very good question. So there is a difference between 5th year and 6th year grinds. And I'm just going to pull up the timetable for a moment on the platform. Now, there isn't a difference for every single subject, Thomas, but for a lot of the subjects there would be. So for example, for English, if I just pull up the platform here, for English, there is a separate 5th and 6th year grind. For higher level maths, there is a separate 5th and 6th year grind. For Irish, there is separate 5th and 6th year grinds. Obviously, there is subjects where the courses are changing. So for example, biology and business, biology, business, chemistry off the top of my head, and physics, there will be separate classes for those because they are different courses. As well as that, we do have a separate 5th and 6th year home ec class. However, for everything else, where the course is the same, you can attend both classes, or sometimes, for example, for geography, 5th and 6th years, they have the class together, okay? And a last question here. How do you know which classes are on which days, and would they ever change? So Erica, the timetable I have up here, these are your weekly grinds classes all the time. If there's any changes to that, what we do is we notify you on the newsfeed, but you will see it pop up on the platform as well when you get a little bit more used of the platform. Masterclasses, obviously they're a little bit different, they're a little bit more ad hoc, but you will be given plenty of notice on them. And as I said, if you keep an eye on our social media, TikTok, Instagram, and obviously on the newsfeed as well, you'll see little timetables going up there. You'll see, for example, the masterclasses for the month there. There might be slight edits, but again, we'll let you know about that as well as the topics. Now guys, hopefully I answered the majority of the questions that you had there, and I know there was responses obviously from the team here, so if they didn't respond and you have any more questions, you can pop them in, absolutely no problem. And I'm sorry if I missed something along the way, because I am seeing responses as well as questions. You can let me know. But otherwise, guys, if there is no other questions, thank you for joining Grinds360. We really, really appreciate it. Remember these 2 phone numbers. It's no harm writing them down for yourself. Get them down. And if you have any questions in a couple of weeks' time, you can give us a call, or it might be at Christmas, whenever it is, you can give either of these phone numbers a call. Again, this one is for the books more so, and this one is customer service, kind of general kind of queries. But really, for the moment, if you ring either, we'll answer your queries for you. Or you can obviously drop us an email at info@grinds360.ie. You can also catch us there. But guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for obviously logging on. Hopefully I gave you a good idea of the platform there, okay? Again, this was all about a platform tour. We'll keep answering questions in the chat there for another little while with you guys. The team are still working out there if there's any specific questions. But what we always say, if there's subject specific questions, they do really need to go towards the teacher a lot of the time. So if you can catch your teacher in their live class, first live classes are going to obviously all be on this week, pop in there. That's the really, really good place, guys. And I actually love seeing the names coming in, because I love seeing my names coming in for the year here. Hopefully some of you are doing geography and maths with me. I do hope that. So guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much. Keep asking questions. Ring, ask them here. We'll be on the chat for another little while. And other than that, guys, you have a music class tomorrow, music kind of intro tomorrow, and obviously you have your English class tomorrow. Let me check if it was a paper 1 or paper number 2. I have it here. You have your paper number 1 English class tomorrow at 8:15 with Paul McCormick. So make sure you jump on that. And again, if you have any English questions for Paul, Paul will answer them for you there. He'll be able to tell you absolutely everything. Okay, guys? Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.